LeBron James took to Twitter today to show his support for California Senate Bill 206. Now, this would give California college athletes, quote, the right to their name, image, and likeness, imagine that, allowing them to earn income from their athletic talent. This is what LeBron tweeted, quote, everyone in California, call your politicians, tell them to support SB 206. This law is a game changer. College athletes can responsibly get paid for what they do and the billions that they create. He also added, California can change the game. This is only right, way overdue, more than an athlete. Now look, the bill does not require colleges to pay or employ athletes. It's just really interesting, though, because if it's signed into law, it's going to set up this huge showdown between the state of California and the NCAA. So the NCAA could turn around and say, all right, California schools, if you're letting these guys earn monies off their likenesses, that's against our rules. So you can't compete in national championship games anymore, right? No college football championship, no March Madness. And you have to wonder if recruits would start shunning those California schools, right? And we've seen California schools lobbying against this rule in the California legislature. Or would recruits start flocking to California schools because, oh, wow, they could make money off people using their faces for advertising and Nike shoes and all of that stuff. And therefore, if California schools on their own become really powerful and flush with the best young athletes in the country, and they start skipping over, in essence, the NCAA, what happens there? What do you think is going to happen here? And what do you think about LeBron, who had the documentary earlier in the year on HBO, student athlete, taking such a big step on this?
Yeah, we know, covering him for so many years, Rachel, he's not going to speak on something unless he feels well educated on it and passionate about it. So obviously this is something that's been mulling in his head for a while now. For him to greenlight that documentary project you mentioned and to put as one of the first marquee productions that his company did, that meant that it's been something that he's been sitting on for a while. Listen, he could be affecting change that will impact his family. You know, Bronny is going through this process over the next 4 years.
Well, they hope not, right?
Or perhaps he will going straight to the NBA out of high school if the rules change.
But just in case, you got to cover your bases.
Right. And this is the type of power that he has with his influence. And listen, I think what we're in store for is a game of chicken. The NCAA saying, like, oh, you know, we're going to ban you, California schools. And California schools saying, like, okay, the kids who come play for these schools can make $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, whatever the number may be. Is that little dinky ring that they win from the conference championship game got to be worth as much to that person moving forward than being able to bank money on top of getting a free education? I think California has a pretty good leg to stand on if this bill goes through.
Force the NCAA's hand. Do it. You brought up the reasons why, Rach, but if you're an athlete and you're like, yeah, the NCAA, it's not for me, let me go make money, do it. Let's see all these kids try to make money for their likeness and for their ability, but on top of all that, I've always respected about LeBron off the floor is he knows the power of his voice. And you guys have lived it for a long time, covering him day to day, but when you see what he's done and you know that he understands just how much weight comes when he steps out on an issue, not a lot of guys would talk about it publicly. And that's always the difference to me with LeBron, especially in the last few years. The more comfortable he's felt in his own skin and in this kind of platform under this kind of light, I respect the hell out of him coming out and saying what he says and knowing that he's standing up for a lot more people that are coming behind him.
Yeah, and Dave's obviously joking about his kid. Bronny will be fine with whether he makes money off of his face or not. But to your point, there's a lot of kids about to go through this. And we've seen, I think, with this whole wave of NBA players, right? Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, LeBron, they've kind of made an effort to do things that don't just deal with them, right? They're also trying to make things better for the players coming behind them. We made a big deal about, Chris Paul, when he's president of the Players Association, has put in money for the older players. They raised the minimum for those younger players too. So they've done those kinds of things. I think with this bill and the game of chicken you're talking about, what's going to be really interesting is whether the NCAA believes the power that it has, that power of March Madness, the power of the National College Football Championship, is Teflon and can endure anything or not. Or if one by one you have better and better athletes making other choices, whether they decide to come straight out of high school and go to the NBA, come straight out of high school and go play overseas. In the college instance, if they maybe go, if this bill gets passed and they play for California schools, that's and just aren't part of the National College Football Championship, does the luster of winning March Madness or winning the National College Football Championship dim because you're like, oh, the best guys aren't even in it anymore? And then the NCAA has damaged its brand so much, and once that horse is out of the barn, I don't think it's retrievable, guys.
Right, because if we're watching a March Madness tournament a couple years from now, and whoever the equivalent of Zion is at that point is playing for UCLA, and UCLA is not involved in that tournament because of this bill passing, California schools will have Stanford and Cal and UCLA and USC all together. They'll have their own tournament, and if you have the best players, what do you want to watch more? You want to watch the best talent. And so they have a trump card, I think, if it goes through.
It's going to be interesting to see. And you said, oh, the California schools. The California schools have actually been against this as sort of officially the schools because they are following along with the NCAA, right? And you've actually had powerful donors from those schools reportedly calling the governor, trying to encourage him to sort of pocket veto this and just not sign the bill. It's going because they are fearful that they won't recruit, they won't get those good athletes anymore. And it's going to be very interesting to see what the legislature and the governor does, whether anyone in this situation blinks, and that if it comes to the NCAA's doorstep, what happens? You have LeBron James now making noise about it. Kevin Durant retweeted LeBron this morning. I think more NBA players are going to start to get involved in this movement, and we're going to only have more discussion about this.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For highlights and analysis, check out the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, check out ESPN+.